Today on the show, we've got something for everyone. We're going to talk about some of my favorite comics and books that I'm reading right now. And if you don't like at least one of these recommendations, then what's wrong with you?
Okay, well, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, first off, we're going to start off with summer reading. We're going to talk about some novels that are the jammy jam. And then we're going to move on to really great ongoing comic series that are going on right now. So if you want to jump into comics and start doing some monthlies, these are where you should go.
Oh.
Then we're going to talk about the graphic novel Wolverine that the upcoming Wolverine movie is based off of.
Oh.
First up on the docket, we have The Iron King. It's the perfect book for Game of Thrones fans who are either in between books or in between seasons and are jonesing for a hit.
Well, what's it about?
Well, it's a book based on real-life events from history from the 1300s based on King Philip the Fair and how he brought down like a curse on himself from this Templar knight and his whole family. It's all about their downfall of this royal family.
Does it have any dragons in it?
No, since it's based in real life, it does not have any dragons in it, but what it does have...
Oh, no dragons!
It has lies and betrayals and fucking adultery and royal crazy antics and people being burned alive, and it's all this...
Giants? Does it have giants?
No, but it does have crazy queens and kings doing all sorts of crazy
Sword
nonsense.
fights?
No, well, maybe, actually. Sword fights might actually be in this. But the thing is, I'm about halfway through. I haven't read the entire thing yet, but I must say, so far, it is a page-turner. It's really hard to put down. It's pretty easy to read.
Who would not like it?
I guess people who don't like historical things or French names that are hard to keep up with. If you're looking for a really simple, straightforward read, this might not be it because there's a lot of goings on. You gotta keep things in your mind. But like I said, if you're like a Game of Thrones person and you're used to that sort of stuff, then you'll probably dig it.
Okay, well, I'll read it, but just for the sword fights.
Good a reason as any. And fun fact, this book is one of the books that inspired George R.R. Martin. He even wrote a foreword in it talking about how this book was such an influence on him. And I love reading books that influence the people who write books that I like. So now we're going to talk about Nosferatu by Joe Hill, one of my favorite new writers. He's amazing. My mom got me this book, and it's signed by Joe Hill. I'm really excited because my mom's really cool.
What's it about?
Well, it's a tale of supernatural suspense and horror. It's based around this character, Victoria McQueen, and she has this odd power where she can get on her bike and cross this crazy covered bridge to find things that are lost. But then there's also this guy, Charles Manx, who takes little children for rides in his Rolls-Royce Wraith and takes them to this fucked up imaginary land of Christmas Land, where he kind of drains them of their youth or something. I don't know. It's totally crazy. It's really good.
Okay. Who would like it?
Anyone who's a fan of Stephen King, I feel like, would like it. If you're into Dark Tower series or Insomnia or any of his weird, Stephen King stuff, you're going to like it. Because Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King, if you didn't know. Spoiler alert. He's pretty amazing. He's totally his father's son. And one thing that I really love about Nosferatu is that in this book, he makes references to his father's universe.
Oh.
He makes references to Derry and to Pennywise the Clown from It and things like that, which I really enjoy. Normally I'd probably be against it, but since it's his own son, it's totally cool. Yes, please expand upon it. He also makes references to his own stuff, and he's building his own universe as well, where he talks about, makes reference to Key House from his comic book, Lock and Key. If you didn't know, he also writes comics that are amazing. He also makes a inference to Horns, another one of his books. So it's really cool. I really love how he's tying everything together, tying all his weirdness together. This is a guy that you should look out for because you're going to know his name. He's up and coming. He's already, really good, but I'm just saying, a lot of people still don't know about him. You're going to know about him, okay? Really amazing stuff.
Oh. So this is a book that is scary, right?
Yes, it's very scary. It's very suspenseful.
You know what I'm scared of?
What?
Spiders. Are there any spiders in Nosferatu?
No, there are no spiders, but there is a gas mask man who will rape you in his house after he doses you with some sleepy gas. Does that scare you?
Not as scary as spiders.
Well, then you should read It by Stephen King, because there's a really giant spider in the end of that, and that's pretty scary.
Oh! Who would not like it?
I don't know, assholes, idiots, morons. Take your pick.
Alright, well, let's talk about comic books now.
Finally! Gosh, we haven't talked about comic books enough lately, so we're going to talk about them right now. Let's get into some monthly ongoing series that are out right now that you can, like, pick up and start, like, doing it. If you're interested in becoming a monthly reader, picking up issues, these are great places to start.
Doing it!
Yeah! So, let's start with some Marvel Now stuff. Marvel Now really has more than a few really great titles going on. I'm really excited about how well some things are coming along. I'm kind of surprised, exactly. It's like I'm waiting for a bad one. I'm like, where's the bad one? When's the other foot gonna drop? But I did just keep being good. So I have to tell you about them. You've probably heard me talk about these before, but I'm just gonna reiterate it again and let you know that these are still good comics.
Go.
Uncanny X-Men, been really fantastic. Right now, we're up to issue 7, so I'm sure the first 6 are going to be collected pretty soon, so you can pick those up in a trade paperback form, and then start picking up the monthlies if you want. But yeah, this title has been so good. It's all about after AVX, and you should watch my AVX review if you haven't. This is all taking place after the events of that, where Cyclops is now considered a mutant terrorist starting this crazy revolution. He's on the run. He's with Magic, White Queen, Magneto, and they're trying to start their own school for new mutants because there's all these new mutants popping up after AVX, and all of their powers are broken in it, and they're all, like, because they fucked with the Phoenix Force, all their powers are, like, really weird. And something that I've really been enjoying is that up until the past couple issues, they haven't talked about Magic's powers being broken. Like, she's been, like, acting like she's totally fine. And now her shit's, like, starting to get all messed up, too. And, man, can I just tell you, I love what they've been doing with the art in these past few issues with Magic. Oh, my gosh, it's so weird. This guy, Fraser Irving, man, keep this guy going. Like, I love this really odd art style for X-Men. It's great.
Who would not like it?
If you're not a fan of, like, superhero stuff, if you're not a fan of Marvel stuff, then, you know, if you're not an X-Men person, I guess. But it's just, man, X-Men's been really on fire lately.
Okay, what's next? What's another one of these good?
Well, another really great X title right now, and there's a lot of good X titles, but All New X-Men is really great.
Well, what's it about?
All New X-Men is about the first class of X-Men being brought forward in time to present day. They're seeing, like, how this fight that they're being trained for has turned out, they're trying to deal with it, and it's, like, really messing them up. Especially Jean Grey. There's, like, a young 16-year-old Jean Grey, and she is, like, out of control, like, all the time. It's very, very interesting stuff.
Oh.
Another thing that I think is really exciting is the character of a young Cyclops seeing himself now and being like, do I turn into a terrorist? Like, I killed Professor X, like, my father figure. It's really, really interesting. Anything with Scott Summers, I'm, like, excited because he's a really interesting character.
Oh, okay. Right
now, they're up to issue 13, so I'm sure the first 6 issues are collected already. The next 6 issues will probably be collected in a second volume. So, yeah, man. And both of these titles are written by Brian Michael Bendis. So, it's, man, he's just, like, on a roll. On a roll. And Stuart Eminem doing the art for this, you cannot go wrong. It's like, ugh. Another book I want to touch on really quickly is Thor, God of Thunder, the new Marvel Now comic. Man, I know I keep talking about it and saying this is really good, but it is really good. You should totally read it. Same thing, man. I've never been interested in reading a Thor comic before, and now I'm like, yes, I look forward to it every month. The art is amazing. The writing is really good. It's Jason Aaron, who's just been on fire lately. Man.
Okay.
So the first 6 issues have been collected into a trade paperback called The God Butcher. We're up to issue 8 right now, so it'll be a while before the second volume comes out. And I'm going to do a full review of it once it's completed. So keep that under your hats.
A whole episode?
A whole episode. That's so good.
On Thor.
That's how good it is. And
yes.
if you're unaware of what it's about there's this god butcher, Gore the God Butcher, and he hates gods, and he's going around killing all the gods, and Thor has to deal with it, and he has to team up with Thor from the future and Thor from the past to defeat this guy. It's so cool. It's like, man, I wish that they would make this into a movie. I wish they'd make this into a movie because I would love to see 3 Chris Hemsworth on the screen at one time. But it's really fun seeing young Thor where he's like stupid and brash, and then you have like old like Odin-like Thor that's like really badass. It's cool.
Are you looking forward to Thor 2?
I am. I'm really interested to see where they take it, to be honest. Especially since it's being directed by a guy who works on Game of Thrones episodes. It'll be... I'm really intrigued to see how it is. Another amazing Marvel Now book is Superior Spider-Man, written by Dan Slott. If you check out our older episode, our Spider-Man episode, we talk about the death of Peter Parker and how his brain has been switched with that of Doc Ock, so now Doc Ock is in Peter Parker's body, and then Peter Parker died in Dr. Octopus's body, and let me tell you, as somebody who has never really been into Spider-Man comics, this comic is so good. It intrigues me. I love seeing Dr. Octopus deal with all the problems that Peter Parker had to deal with. And I love the fact that he thinks that he can be a better Spider-Man than Peter, that he will be a superior Spider-Man. Man, this book has just really been going, like, really well. Like, every issue's really good. It's up to issue 12, so the first 6 issues should be collected. The next 6 issues should be collected pretty soon. So it's definitely one you should pick up, though. So usually 6 issues is one complete arc. Sometimes 12, but generally they bind them 6 at a time.
Who would not like it?
I guess if you're a diehard Peter Parker fan, if you're, like, upset about Peter Parker being dead or something, but...
Because some people were.
Yeah, some people were really upset by it. And me personally, I'm not the biggest Peter Parker fan in the whole world, and I think it's far more interesting to see Dr. Octopus deal with stuff. But then again, I'm really into villains and villainhood and the idea of all that sort of stuff. I love reformed baddies, so it's like not surprising that I'm really into this title.
Well, I will read that because it's cool.
You're right. It is cool, and you should read it. Whatever gets you to read it, man, just read it.
Okay, what's next?
Well, if you're not interested in superhero books and you want to do something a little different, if you're looking for maybe a new horror comic, The Wake by Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy is like one of the most exciting new comics for me right now. I'm really excited about this comic.
Okay, well, what's it about?
Well, it's about a marine biologist, Lee Archer, and she's approached by the Homeland Security. She goes with them. They won't take no for an answer. She goes with them to the Arctic Circle, to this underground secret oil rig, and there they show her that they have found and caught a fish monster.
Fish monster?
Yeah, fish monster.
Wait a minute. I talked about a fish monster in an episode of our show 2 months ago.
Yeah, you did. That's weird. Yeah, I can draw. Thanks.
Oh, well, I bet it's not as good as some of my drawings. Fish monster. Nailed that one.
Those are real good, Robot. Those are real good.
And now, Scott Snyder's writing a comic about a fish monster.
Yeah?
Don't you see? There's just too many coincidences here. Scott Snyder's ripping on my idea.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way. I was the only one doing fish monsters.
Everyone knows that Fish Monsters was a dead market.
It was.
And then you came along. Man, I'm going to have to
This is an outrage.
You should tweet him about this, actually. You should tweet him.
Oh, I'm gonna.
So Robot just left to go tweet Scott Snyder and contact his lawyer. So let's get back to The Wake. Like I said, I'm really excited about it. It is... just, I like underwater, weird, being trapped in something with a monster type situation. Like, I'm a horror fan, so this is like looking really good. And it honestly, I think that this could be made into a movie, potentially. I mean, we're only 2 issues in, so it may completely fall apart. I don't know. But Scott Snyder is friggin' on fire right now, so I highly doubt that. Plus, I love the art of Sean Murphy. I just can't get enough right now. I'm really excited to see him working on a new project. It's a mini-series. It's only going to be 10 issues, and then it's going to be over, and then all collected. So you can wait for the collection to come out, or you can start buying them right now. So a really great Image title that has a lot of buzz around it right now that I'm also really excited about is Nowhere Men. When I go into the comic shop, they have like a little thing that says limit 1 per customer because people are just like buying these like crazy.
So it's like a collector's item?
I mean, I guess it's just really hot right now. It's like hot, like Saga's hot. It's hot.
Hot.
So hot right now.
Kind of like robots are hot right now.
Kind of like how Hansel is like so hot right now.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
What's it about?
Nowhere a Man so far has focused on two different groups of people. One of them being a group of 4 scientists who are like rock star scientists. Like, what if scientists were treated like celebrities are in our society? And they get together in the 60s and they have all these ideals and they form this big science institution called World Corp, and they're going to like change the world. And then as things go on, things fall apart. And this book doesn't just take place in one time period. It kind of skips around, which is really interesting. But also, there is a group of people who are on one of World Corp's secret satellites. And something goes terribly wrong. They all get some weird virus. And they all start turning into weird different things. And you don't know why they're turning into these things. You don't know what prompted it. They don't know what prompted it. Some of them escape back to Earth, and now it's spreading on Earth, potentially. And like I said, I really don't know where it's going, but it actually works for me. Like, I like that I don't know where it's going. I'm excited to find out where we're going, which usually doesn't work for me. I usually get frustrated with stuff like that. But this is, like, really cool.
Does it include anyone with a laser whip?
No.
Well, then it's not for me. Skip it!
Well, it does have someone who turns into some weird black goo that's like maybe dark matter. I mean, that's kind of cool.
I guess.
There is a rock ape, but it's not a big part of the story. So next up, let's talk about graphic novels. We'll talk about The Wolverine by Chris Claremont and illustrated by Frank Miller. This is the book that the new Wolverine movie is supposed to be based off of, but judging by the trailer, they've taken a lot of liberties with the story, which, you know, who could have guessed that? It's Hollywood. So let me tell you one little interesting tidbit about the Wolverine movie that I heard from a little bird on the grapevine that really bums me out about this movie and just, like, lets me know that this just, like, isn't for me. And if you're excited about it, that's great. And, you know, I hope that it's good. I would love for this movie to be great, okay? I would love it if there was a badass Wolverine movie, okay? But I gotta face facts. I gotta be real with myself. I don't think this is gonna be it. And let me tell you why. So supposedly, at the end of the film, they tease us with the idea of Wolverine finally putting on his Wolverine suit, his yellow and brown suit. Supposedly he gets like a suitcase in the end, and in the suitcase is the suit. And it's like, I've waited like my whole life to see that. And after 10 years, after 5 movies with Hugh Jackman Wolverine in it, they're gonna tease us with the costume? You guys, like, what are you doing? Like, you're bumming me out. You're not making me excited. You're bumming me out. That's what you're doing. You know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Let's get a new Wolverine. A little short guy.
Oh, yeah.
A little burly, hairy.
You lost me there.
Hairy little angry man who wears the suit. You know, I mean, it's like, I know they can make it work. I'm sure it's hard. I'm sure it would be hard to make it work, but I think that there's a way they can do it. I mean, if they can make Thor's costume, like, look fucking sweet, it's like, why not Wolverine? You know?
It's because they're afraid.
Oh, what were you expecting? Yellow spandex? Yes, I was. A little disappointed. But this book is really excellent. It's a really great place to start if you want to find out more about Wolverine. Before this book came out, Wolverine was more of like a berserker with like a chip on his shoulder, and you know, I mean, you know. This book is the first place where Wolverine and the whole samurai Ronin thing are like put together, which works really well. So in the story, Wolverine has fallen in love with this Japanese girl named Mariko. He met her in America. He goes off to Canada to take care of some Canada business, and after he gets done with his business, he tries to call up Mariko, finds out that she's moved back to Japan, won't take his calls, will not talk to him, and he's like, we had something. What? So he goes all the way to Japan to figure out what's going on with Mariko, because he's like, no, like, we had something for reals. So he goes over there, finds out that her father has like come back from the dead, essentially, like everyone thought he was dead. He comes back and he makes her marry some businessman guy. Okay, so now she's married to this asshole who beats her, and like Wolverine ain't having that, and he has to duke it out with like Mariko's father, and it's this whole thing about him finding himself. he ends up having another love interest, Yukio, who's like the opposite, who's this badass like ninja assassin chick, and they go on some weird adventures. But man, it's just so good, and there's so many amazing images in it. There's like more than a couple things that I would love to just blow up and put on my wall. I mean, seriously, like some really great Frank Miller drawings before he got into his whole Sin City thing. It's like a very different style for him, like an older style that I really appreciate. Have you ever seen this famous cover? Of course you have. If you've been at a comic book shop, you know what this is. And that comes from this. It's classic. So this is classic Wolverine material from 1987, and I can almost guarantee you that it's going to be better than the movie. In fact, reading this, it really reads like a movie. It's very cinematic. You won't be disappointed. And you could probably buy it from most comic book stores, and if not, Amazon. That's it for today. I hope you find a recommendation that you really enjoy out of all this. And I want to make a big announcement. We're taking a small hiatus for the rest of the month because we're working on our Kickstarter orders as well as gearing up for Comic-Con. We have a lot of cool secret projects that we've been working on. We're going to make a big splash there. So be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Also be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So we have a lot of stuff on our plate right now, but we're getting phase 2 ready. It's still happening, and we're really excited about it. So hang in there, baby. I am really excited about Pacific Rim. It saved summer movies for me. It got me excited for the first time.
So, back now. Just got done writing Scott Snyder's cease and desist letter. So, the lake should be canceled by next week.
Really?
For copyright infringement.
Copyright infringement?
Yeah.
That's a
obvious
big term. Did you have a copyright of Fish Monster? Did you copyright that?
Well, no, but I mean, it's obvious that it's being ripped off.
Well, are we really going to talk about copyright infringement right now, Robot?